Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Natural Food Pantry Education Series. Joining me today is Jerry Angelini, Director of Education for Host Defense Mushrooms. Jerry is a mushroom expert extraordinaire. We have been fortunate to have had Jerry present some exceptional seminars to the Natural Food Pantry community over the past several years. Jerry has been teaching and speaking on anatomy and physiology, herb-drug interactions, psychology, and many other health topics for over 2 decades. He holds numerous certificates and postgraduate credentials in conventional, traditional, integrative, holistic practices, way too many to name here. Welcome, Jerry. It's so wonderful to have you back at Natural Food Pantry for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It's always great to be with you. Yeah.
Mushrooms, they truly fascinate me. And so let's just start this conversation by, I'd love for you to share with the listeners what it is about mushrooms what sparked your interest initially. Where did your journey start with this?
So I started my herbal training, 30 some odd years ago, 35 years ago now. And at that point in time, mushrooms were really not part of the traditional herbal training, at least in the States and with the teacher that I was working with. And it really took another like 15 years for me to get introduced to it when I started doing more in-depth traditional Chinese medicine training. And that's when I learned about things like reishi and cordyceps and there's something called fuling and zuling, and those are two other mushrooms that are used in traditional Chinese medicine. And they just have this really rich tradition in and use and history and even lore and mythology in the traditional Chinese medicine. And then like I ran into Paul Stamets's the fungi perfecti mushrooms probably about 20 years ago, and I started using them in my private practice. And I've been a fan ever since. Like I love them. They're part of my everyday experience for sure at this point. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I just listened to Paul Stamets' TED Talk on 6 ways mushrooms can save the world. And I know you're here to talk about what mushrooms can do for humans, but it's so fascinating and interesting
Yes.
to learn what mushrooms, the impact they can have on the planet, on cleaning up toxic matter and waste, and acting as pest control and antibiotic. It's just, it blows my mind. Again,
Yeah.
not our
And
focus.
even like ecosystem restoration and like
Yeah.
increasing agricultural outputs, and it's just like, wow, like these are these like hidden helpers in our world. We really need to become more aware and knowledgeable about them, for sure.
Yeah, and on that note, do you have any favorite like resources that you recommend in terms of mushrooms and their impact on the environment?
That's a great question. I would definitely say take a look at some of the work that Paul Stamets has done.
Yeah.
He has this mycelium running book. That's a great, like, gives you a lot of information about the versatility of the fungal kingdom. And so I would say, like, definitely grab that, take a look at it, read it. There's some really cool stuff in there. And then, in the back, it has more information about how you would grow mushrooms. But the front part of the book is definitely about like ecosystems experience and how we can engage the fungal kingdom in our world.
Awesome, cool,
Yeah.
thank you. And so shifting our focus over to humans and the effect that mushrooms have on humans, can
Yeah.
you speak about the general, therapeutic benefits that mushrooms have? What type of ailments might spark someone to want to investigate mushroom
Yeah.
supplementation?
For sure. So, really, the big thing most everyone knows about are the supports for the immune response. And one of the things that I find particularly interesting about mushrooms in general is that when you get like the full mushroom extraction process. So not just like polysaccharides or beta glucans, but also the terpene structures and things like ergosterol and ergothioneine. So like when we get like a full mushroom product, they in fact help modulate the immune response. And this is different than just like stimulating the immune response. And I feel like this is a really important differentiation. Like because 10 years ago, everyone was like, oh, we got to stimulate the immune response. We got to really bump it up and make it stronger. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like what we need to do is make sure that it's functioning within its normal limits, right? So it's a homeostatic principle when we're talking about immune functioning. We don't want it to be too low for sure, but we don't want it to be too high either. It's like, you've got to keep it in that Goldilocks zone. And a whole mushroom provides that kind of bi-directional benefit. So, whether you're talking about general systemic immune response or maybe intestinal tract immune response, because sometimes like people will eat stuff and it'll throw their immune system off, or if they have a reactivity to different foods, or maybe it's upper respiratory and they have reactivity to environmental triggers like animal dander or pollen or dust mites or things like that. Or skin, like the skin, like this is one of our largest like organs, especially when it comes in contact with our world, right? And so that needs modulatory responses too. And this is one of the great things about mushrooms, that whole mushroom product, right? And we do need to extract the mushrooms. Like you can't just eat them raw. That's not going to work. You gotta put some work into it. They have these really tough um, cell walls, and we've got to break into those with heat. And so you got to extract them, and you need a full extraction process. But then they help like all these areas of our body, whether it's the digestive tract or our lungs or our skin. But then we also find that mushrooms can provide other benefits for like helping maintain healthy glycemic balance, that metabolic experience, our relationship with dietary sugars. It can help with cardiovascular health and liver function. Mushrooms can support a really healthy, balanced blood fat situation. So like low density lipoproteins or LDLs and HDLs too, and triglycerides. So they can be really helpful for all of those functions. And then mushrooms can also, depending upon the ones that you're looking at, they might support things like mood and cognitive functioning. So like really they have the capacity to support just about every part of our body.
Yeah, and so when you're talking about consuming the whole mushroom or using the whole mushroom, I can imagine that listeners are thinking, "Oh, well, I'll go to the grocery store and buy some portobello mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms or whatever the local grocery store has
Right.
and cook them up for dinner tonight." So what do consumers need to know about consuming actual mushrooms that are
Yeah.
sold in grocery stores, and also about purchasing mushroom
Yeah.
supplements? What's important for people to know?
Yeah, so for our grocery store stuff, you definitely want to get organic mushrooms because they bioremediate. So whatever they're grown in, they're going to hyper concentrate. So you got to make sure they're clean, right? So biologique, I was just going to say, but um, we want to make sure that they're organic, right? We want to cook them thoroughly. So we want to make sure we use a healthy fat like ghee or coconut oil or olive oil. We want to saute them for a good 5 to 10 minutes. If you can throw some cooking wine in on top of that, that's going to even be better. And really, the longer you cook mushrooms like that, the better they are for us. You can roast mushrooms, but really one of the best ways to get mushrooms is in some kind of soup structure or, healthy sauce situation. So again, the more we cook them and we have fluid and liquid that all of those good compounds can come out into, the better. When it comes to products, and most people know that I work for Host Defense Mushrooms, so we use not just the fruit body in some of our products, but we really focus on the mycelium, and we grow it in rice, and so the mycelium ferments the rice and it turns it into a fermented food, and then we do all the processing for you. So like we really make sure that we're organically certified. We go through numerous testing processes for identity, making sure the mushroom is the mushroom we think it is, right? Composition, like all of the good things that we're wanting are going to be there. Purity, making sure there are no like heavy metals and pesticide residues and things like that. And then safety, to make sure that there's no biological contaminants. And that's one of the things, like, mushrooms, anytime you, especially if they're wild mushrooms, they've been out in a forest and they could have some contaminants associated with them. So you want to make sure that they're clean. But we at Host Defense do all of that for you. And then furthermore, at Host Defense, we're also doing like human trials to to validate their efficacy on immune response. And there's been some really beautiful research done on the Host Defense products, and the results have been really quite robust and positive. So we're really happy about that.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about the line of Host Defense products. I know this could take a full hour,
It's a
so
long,
maybe
yeah.
maybe just touch on some of the
I will.
hot sellers, some of the most
Yeah,
popular products, people ones that are more common,
yeah, for
and who
sure.
would use them. Yeah.
Yeah. One of our real hot ones is lion's mane, right? Because everyone wants to support their, their mood, right? Because there's a lot of stress in the world lately, but also their cognitive functioning and just like their nervous tissue, like their nerve cells throughout their whole body. So peripheral nervous function, as well as the central nervous system function. And lion's mane is awesome like that. It's got a couple of great human clinical trials on its efficacy to support not just cognitive functioning, but memory and mood. It helps us stabilize our mood, and it supports just generalized neurological tissue repair and rejuvenation. So, really amazing mushroom, while it's also supporting our immune response. And this is kind of the cool thing about mushrooms. It's not just one thing that's helping, it really helps a lot. Lion's mane can also help with our blood glucose levels and kind of maintaining those in healthy levels. It helps liver function too. It's a great prebiotic for our probiotic microflora. So it can help our intestinal microbiome. Just a great mushroom. And if you can find a grower in your area, this stuff is awesome. Like I cook with it all the time, literally. Like here, I'm in San Diego, California, and we have a local mushroom grower, and I go in and I buy like a huge, like about a half a kilo, like a mushroom, and I chop it up on Sundays and I put it in all my food as I go through the week. So it's really great.
Wow.
Another great mushroom people like to talk about is reishi. And reishi has a term called the mushroom of immortality. And this is a great mushroom to help like our constitution, just like our general level of that underlying experience of vitality. It gently builds energy over time. So the longer you take reishi, the more energized you will feel. It also supports intestinal health. It supports neurological health, not quite as strongly as lion's mane. And I tend to look at reishi is it supports everything a little bit, which means the whole body feels better over time. Great for cardiovascular health, and it helps pull us out of a fight or flight mechanism. So if you tend to be a little bit on the high strung level, reishi is a mushroom for you too. So reishi can be really helpful at calming us down, yet providing gentle long-term energy. Cardiovascular health, like I said before, and then it's one of our stronger modulators of the immune response, especially if you react to environmental triggers. You'll want to really think about reishi as an ally for you. Cordyceps. People do talk about cordyceps quite a bit. This is our revitalizer. So reishi is more general, supportive energy as we go through the day. Cordyceps is like supercharge. A lot of people who use cordyceps use it for athletic performance, but then there are also other people that use it because it supports oxygenation and it increases the amount of oxygen we take in through our lungs, which is really, really important. So for people that tend to, you know, have challenged breathing from time to time, we really think that that cordyceps and the research around it shows that it increases oxygenation and graceful breathing. So right there, you've got three mushrooms: lion's mane for brain stuff, reishi for just general tonic and modulating or balancing the immune response, cordyceps to like give you zip and vim and vigor in your life. And I mean, those are three great ones, and we can go on. Do you want one more?
Well, I think everybody's going to be like, sign me up for all three. You know, I want all three. So
Two.
is there a solution for people? I
Yes.
know you have combination products as well,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
Stamit 7, we call this daily immune support. It's equal parts of 7 mushrooms. Cordyceps, reishi, and lion's mane are in there. They're all there. It's one of my favorite formulas. You can take a capsule at breakfast and a capsule at lunch. If you want to supercharge it just a little, take 2 at breakfast and 2 at lunch. You don't want to take them too late at night because it might keep you awake, right? So definitely at the beginning part of your day. And it's a great way to literally support your whole body and really support your immune system in a strengthening yet balancing way so that it stays within that Goldilocks zone of immune functioning.
And with the
One
mushroom,
more formula I think would be really helpful, that could be helpful for people, is called
yeah.
Myco Shield Spray. And this is a spray, it's an immune spray. I think you can get peppermint or cinnamon flavors. I love this. This is one, if you're like in contact with lots of people, 3 to 4 sprays in your mouth 3 to 4 times a day, and it's going to strongly engage and balance that immune response to kind of keep us safe on a moment to moment level.
Amazing. That's one that I always keep in my purse. I have it right here on hand.
Yeah,
I
me
find
too.
I find it helpful when I'm doing talks too, because my
Yeah,
throat can get a little bit dry. So
yeah,
it's a great remedy.
yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
wow. Yeah, I love it. I love the information. Thank you so much for taking time to share your incredible knowledge with us, Jerry. I can't wait to
You're
have you
most welcome.
back to Natural Food Pantry to do another talk for consumers.
Yeah, can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into our education series. Please be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and be sure to sign up for our newsletter at naturalfoodpantry.ca for more information on upcoming events. Stay healthy, everybody.
Have a great one.